Flowers are a common subject for art making, but let's not forget how beautiful and interesting leaves can be. Leaves come in so many beautiful shapes, sizes, and colors, especially during the fall, when their colors change. We will start by envisioning multiple possibilities for your project. You'll have a variety of leaves to pick from. Choose ones that fit well on the paper. Some leaves may be too large or too small for the paper. You'll be tracing these leaves or drawing them freehand, so it's important that they're simple enough to work with. This Japanese maple leaf is beautiful, but too complicated to trace or draw easily. You can work with one leaf or stack several leaves on top of each other. This creates an overlap effect, which gives your artwork depth. Depth is a component of the visual art element of space. As you play with single and multiple leaf arrangements, you're imagining these multiple possibilities as you seek to make something original, unlike anyone else's artwork. I have chosen to have two leaves stacked on top of each other, and I've chosen to have the entire leaf on the page, not coming in from the side, although that would look great too. Think of the paper color you want to use. If your leaves are mostly green, they won't stand out against a green background. Orange leaves pop against a blue background because orange and blue are color opposites or complementary colors. Today I'll use a creamy white paper, but this final project would have looked great against other colors too. Thinking about the other creativity skills we're using today, you might work alone or collaborate with another person on this project. We'll develop our craft as we learn to represent real objects by blending oil pastels. You may also learn some oil pastel techniques like using a blocker. You'll definitely be noticing as you look closely at the leaves you work with. You may see things in them that you didn't see at the beginning of the project. Looking closely is a skill that artists, scientists, writers, and in fact, all creative people do. It might be tempting to want to give up when you see your image doesn't look as you wish, but that's where you can develop the persist skill as you engage with this project and make it your own. You will have many chances to evaluate how the image is progressing and recreate it by adding and blending in new colors, making an accurate illustration of the leaves that you choose. This is connected to the career called scientific illustration. Scientific illustrators are artists who use technical illustration to visually communicate the structure and specific details of things from the real world, such as dinosaur bones, microscopic organisms, or the anatomy of animals. Soon you will get your leaves and play with different possibilities. You will probably not use the first arrangement you make. Pay attention to this. Notice how many arrangements you make before deciding you have the best composition. You'll also need to have chosen the paper color you want. Consider showing your arrangement to someone else and see if they have any ideas for you. Pause the video now to do these things. I'm using one leaf stacked upon another leaf. I need to accurately trace these two, and I'll start with the leaf that I can see completely, the top leaf. Notice I'm carefully tracing each serration, not making up an imagined pattern of jagged edges here. If this leaf has 47 points, so should my drawing. After tracing the top leaf, I'll trace the portion of the bottom leaf that will be visible underneath the top leaf. It may look as though I'm doing this quickly, but I'm not. The video has been sped up considerably here. I'll start by putting in some details in pencil so I can see some landmarks, specific lines or areas where I should be ready for color changes. And I hope you don't think I work this quickly. This video has been sped up here. Colors in nature are complex, much more complex than the simple collection of colors in your oil pastel set. Fortunately, oil pastels are great at blending together. You actually have the capacity to blend hundreds or thousands of colors by combining colors together. I can tell this first leaf has a lot of yellow, some bluish green, and a variety of shades of red, orange, and brown. This will be my pastel set for the top leaf. I think this green area is pretty fascinating, so I think I'll start here, blending green and a little blue, paying attention to the shape and size or space that the green area occupies. I noticed my first little detail that I didn't see at the beginning. It's this little pair of holes here at the base of the leaf. I didn't see those in the beginning, but as I noticed, as I looked closely, I saw that those were important and I decided to add them to my drawing. Next, I'll apply a base color of yellow across the entire leaf. Does this look like the actual leaf? Of course not. But it's a slow and careful process of noticing, looking closely, creating and adjusting my image. Again, remember, the video is sped up here. I see the top third of the leaf is this reddish-brown color. I'm going to start applying the orange, red, and brown colors in this area. I'm pushing very lightly, using a variety of directional drawing, little circles, squiggles, dots, and lines. When the colors are basically where I want them, I go back over them all with a very light color. In this case, the yellow again, to blend the colors together. The yellow is like a blender pastel. It's like mixing up a new paint color. Oil pastels are not good at fine details. Every once in a while, I resort to my pencil to get in dark, fine lines. I've said it before, but the 5 minutes or so that you've been watching me create this one leaf took about 45 minutes in real life. This is a slow process, as I've said, of looking carefully, adjusting, adding, blending, going over the colors over and over again. If it doesn't come quickly to you, that's completely normal. Persist with it, stay with it, and enjoy the process. That's the main thing. To me, how the picture turns out in the end is really not that important to me. It's enjoying the process and learning to look and notice things carefully. Now I'm going to move to the second leaf, the one underneath, and I'm building my color family for that. I see lots of dark greens, a little yellow, and maybe some white for those reflections that seem to come off the high spots of the leaf. Again, I'm starting with a base color. Is this really what the leaf looks like? Of course not. It's just something to get started. I can start with this medium green and start to add in the blended colors that I'm going to add to that green with the blue, maybe a darker green, maybe some white, that sort of thing. Just as I used the yellow pastel as the blender pastel for the top leaf, now I'm using this light green as the blender pastel for the dark green leaf on the bottom. I really wanted my leaf to have a nice sharp edge, and I couldn't use a straight-sided blocker, so I cut a piece of paper to the rough shape of the curve of the leaf. Now I can color right up to the blocker, and that'll give me a very sharp edge, which will be a little bit more realistic for this leaf. I think I can even use the same blocker on the top. The little red tip is something I noticed also that I didn't see at the beginning of doing this project. One sort of advanced technique that you can use is to notice the shadow that occurs when one leaf is on top of the other. It's called a cast shadow, and by adding that to my drawing, I can make it appear less flat, as though the top yellow leaf really is creating a shadow on the bottom dark leaf. Of course, in using that blocker, I lost some of the serrations or jagged edge, so I have to go back and add that in. I hope I've emphasized that the final artwork really isn't as important as the process of making it. What did you see? What did you notice? What did you learn about how to use pastels, how to make compositions, or about yourself? For example, as I think about this artwork, I think to myself, what if I was to change the background color? What if the background color was like a watercolor wash that went from light to dark? What if I changed the size and composition entirely so that the leaves were coming in from the top of the page and you couldn't even see the stems? The purpose of every artwork is to prepare you to make your next artwork.